I want to tell you a story. The story begins in East Africa, cuts to London, journeys to Russia and the Ukraine, and ends up in Switzerland. This is the story of the New Zion, or the East African Promised Land. In August 1903, Sir Joseph Chamberlain of the British Colonial Office offered a large piece of land, about half the size of Israel, to resettle there up to 1 million East European Jews who were suffering violence and brutality. Sir Chamberlain did not make this offer because he liked the Jewish people. The construction of the Uganda Railway at the end of the 19th century was widely criticized in England because it had cost so much to construct. And in 1902, when the railroad began its operation, there was not much use for it, going almost empty from Mombasa to Lake Victoria and back. Million hard-working Jews, Sir Chamberlain thought, will make the area prosperous and the train profitable.
הרצל בא כבעצם מפגש של אינטרסים בין הרצל שמחפש טריטוריה לבין צ'מברלין שבעצם מחפש מתיישבים לבנים שיגיעו למזרח אפריקה, אבל ההצעה היא באה כדי ליישם את השאיפות האימפריאליסטיות הבריטיות במזרח אפריקה.
לחשוב ברצינות על ההצעה של הבריטים על אוגנדה, כשיש לך מצד אחד יהודים שצריכים מקום ויש לך מקום, יש לך מצד שני, לפעם הראשונה, שהמעצמה כמו בריטניה מכירה בך ורוצה לתת לך את היכולת לממש את הלאומיות שלך, את העם שלך, בטריטוריה.
This proposal, mistakenly called the Uganda Plan, was presented to Dr. Theodor Herzl, the founding father of modern Zionism. To Herzl's astonishment and disappointment, the proposal had divided the Jews and almost crushed the newly established Zionist movement. A year and a half later, after Herzl's death, on January 12, 1905, a commission of 3 men arrived at the port of Mombasa on a quest to survey the proposed region. It sounds like the beginning of a joke. A Christian, a Muslim, and a Jew arrived to East Africa. But it is not a joke. Major Gibbons of the Royal Army, a Christian, was the head of the expedition. Professor Alfred Kaiser, a Swiss biologist who converted to Islam, and Nachum Willabush, a young Jewish engineer from Russia, joined him. They took the Uganda Railway to Nakuru, which today is one of the largest cities in Kenya, and on the 23rd of January, 1905, with 40 porters and a Maasai guide, they toured by foot the Promised Land for 5 weeks. Upon their return to Europe, their reports were published. While Major Gibbons saw a real potential for the plan if it would be done slowly and professionally, Willabush's report was very negative. He wrote that the land that was offered was not suitable because of poor soil, lack of water, and harsh weather conditions. Willabush summed his report, "Where nothing exists, nothing can be done." The land that was offered by the British is the county of Uasin Gishu, a very fertile place in East Africa, which is considered to be the breadbasket of Kenya. Professor Robert Weisbord published a book called African Zion, the attempt to establish a Jewish colony in the East Africa Protectorate. 60 years later, his book is still considered to be the most comprehensive research of this affair. I asked the professor why the report was so far from the truth.
He was an engineer. Whether that qualified him to make a judgment on the agricultural potential of the Uasin Gishu Plateau is for every person to make his own decision. I just don't know enough about it. It's a question, a mystery that I've never really been able to resolve.
I decided to travel to Yusin Gishu and try to understand, and maybe resolve, this mystery. I have a copy of the report, their maps, their daily traveling ledger, their coordinates, and a book called The Quest to Uganda that was written by Willabush. I asked Chalo, a geographer, to help me find exact places they had traveled and camped.
I've sent you so that you see. But the fifth one, I'm very sure about the February 5th. I'm sure about it.
On Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021, at 4 a.m., I began my personal quest following in the footsteps of the expedition. Every now and then we could still see the old railway tracks that were laid down so many years ago. Today, they are not in use anymore, but nobody ever told that to the zebras that are still waiting for the train to come. We arrived in the afternoon to Eldoret, which is the principal city of Yusin Gishu.
600 meters, turn left.
From here on, we would use Chalo's instruction that he installed on my cell phone.
In 200 meters, turn left.
From Willabush Report, February 3rd, 1905. For the first half of the way, there was modestly good grass, isolated trees and acacias. No traces of human habitation.
Your destination is on the left.
In the evening, we camped on a swamp with hippos, storks, waterbucks, and antelopes. It seems that today is a bit more complicated than yesterday.
In 150 meters, make a U-turn.
But luckily, in this part of the world, you can always ask for help from a friendly neighbor. How far Mount Surgoi is from where we're standing now?
Surgoi is there.
Yeah, I know, but how many
Now at that
kilometers?
time, it was this time it is called Surgoi Hill. It is
Right.
not a mount.
Right,
So mountain.
right.
This is wrong.
But it stayed the same place. It didn't move, right?
Yeah.
120 years ago it was
was
there,
there.
right? With Chalo and the neighbor instructions, we finally arrived. Frank, our tour guide, asked 3 nice locals in Kiswahili about water and agriculture. They were surprised to learn about the proposal, but they were even more surprised to hear that this land was declared unsuitable for humans.
Unachimba urefu unatosanaje?
Not so
Kwenda
far. Karibu 30 meters. 30. Even 30 feet.
30 feet. Kwa hizi mashamba mnalima nini?
Mahindi,
Kila kitu.
ngano,
Mahindi?
Mainly ni mahindi na wheat.
cash crops.
5 בפברואר, שהיה מיועד לפי התוכנית לחזור בו אל המחנה הראשי על יד הר סרגוי ולהיפגש עם מר קייזר. קמנו בבוקר השכם והלכנו 12 מייל מזרחה בכיוון לצפון הר סרגוי, כי לפי המפה נמצא שם נחל מים. גם המסאי שלי אישר כי מעיין נמצא בצפון ההר. כשהגענו למקום מצאנו את הנחל יבש, בלי מים לחלוטין. The expedition took a Maasai guide with them, and so did I. My good friend Corietta, who like many of his Maasai tribe members, truly believes that they are one of the lost tribes of Israel. Just a food for thought. What would have happened to the fate of the Jewish people, to the state of Israel and Kenya, if the proposal was accepted?